evening. I'm Dick Rowland with Piedmont Design Associates. And
Mr. Rowland, I just want to make sure you were sworn in and that you still are on the road. Thank you, sir.
I'll address the question about the left-hand turn lane going into the access drive. The applicant says we'll be glad to try to pursue that. Of course, it's subject to the DOT's input, but it's our feeling that I think we talked about 2 or 3 car stack and some papers. I do know that the right-of-way out in the Zephyr Road is kind of fluxing right now. I'm not sure if it's been a fully dedicated or whether there's an implied right-of-way, but it would seem that if DOT is favorable to that, it would probably be a matter of a little bit of widening on either side of the existing road. I doubt if it would have much impact on the ditch work there. So given that, that's as much as I can say as we'll promote it to DOT. If DOT is amenable to it, then we'll go ahead.
Questions from the board for the applicant?
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry, may I?
Mr. Gamble, please.
Let me just to clarify, Mr. Bowen, is the applicant agrees to install a dedicated left turn lane with appropriate storage on overhead bridge road, subject to NCDOT approval. Is that?
No, we're not discussing the TIA requirement. The TIA requirement is the overhead bridge road, the left-hand turn and stacking. That is a part of the TIA, and of course, that's going to be approved by DOT. The particular
Which one?
the particular question Mr. Herring was addressing was the left-hand turn on Mazeppa into the access road that's heading to the north. I guess you'd say north, along the Abbott property line. And subject to DOT approving it for us to do that, then we'll look forward to a 3-car stack and some papering along there.
So that's a condition the applicant agrees to, in addition to anything required
Under the TIA, yes, sir.
Thank you.
Additional questions from the board? Additional questions, comments? Okay, this is an ongoing continuation of the public hearing, so at this time, go ahead and ask if there's anyone else from the public that's not spoken on this matter. I'm sorry.
May I continue a bit?
Yes, please.
We have talked with Ms. Abbott, and we are in the process of actually putting together a driveway, shared driveway easement of the town of Mooresville, her and the applicant. Ms. Abbott has gone ahead, and I guess one of the questions was, do you have the grading easement? And she has given us a signed notes that we can go ahead and grade on her property in conjunction with developing that site. Mr. Dusenberry has already acknowledged that Thunder Road Market LLC has been registered in the state of North Carolina. And we can also move forward and say, to answer one other, I guess, question that was brought up at last month's meeting is whether the LEED certification of the Kyle Busch site was going to be jeopardized in some way by the installation of the gas station. We've been in contact with the certification agency, and they say no. In fact, our project has been registered as a LEED's project. It will probably be the first convenience store gas service in North Carolina to have a LEED certification.
Additional comments? Mr. Gamble.
Do you have documentation with you about that certification?
Yes, we do.
Can you provide the clerk and the board with a copy of that?
It's a download, so it's not real fancy.
Okay, that's okay.
Commissioner Dusenberry.
Without seeing that certification, could you just off the top of your head give me some history on who just doing it? Is that out of order, town attorney, or not?
No, you can add, no, your question, I think, goes to how do you get certified? Who does the certification?
Right. Tom, he made a statement that there was a consultant, and
This is a registration for certification, so there isn't a consultant on board at this time. My architect is a lead AP architect,
Okay.
so she helps in the process to move it along.
Sir, for the record, if you could state your name, please.
What's Collins?
Were you sworn at the last year?
Yes, I was. It's an ongoing process to achieve that. So what happens we submit drawings now as the drawings are being prepared. And as you build, you submit documents for the building. Or subsequent inspections.
Let me ask you this question, if I may, though, so just to be clear, the document that's been presented to the board is it's confirmation of registration.
Yes.
It's that, so you've registered, but you haven't been certified.
No, I can't be certified until the project is complete.
I understand, okay.
So the registration, the U.S. Green Building Council allows that project as a gas station to be registered.
I just want to clarify that error.
So what I'm hearing you say, Mr. Gamble, from the applicant, is that there'll be a formal certification process that you've applied, and once your project's completed, they'll be inspected, and then you'll be granted a certification.
That's correct.
Thank you. Commissioner Harrington.
What steps are required of you specifically as you build to be LEED certified? I wasn't aware of that process, but what types of things do you need to implement as
It
part
starts
of it?
with a site plan, and it starts as far as early as the site plan. We have a detention time to catch all the runoff water. That's one of the steps, the very first step. Make sure your erosion doesn't leach over onto another site. So it's the way the site is designed with its silt fence, its detention pond, temporary pond. It goes as far as the steel has to have a certain content of recycled steel. Roof is reflective, parking lot will be reflective, it'll be concrete, not paved. Low energy use parts and pieces. Recycled drywall, sustainable materials used in the doors, carpet tile. OVOC paint.
Wow, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Gamble.
I'm sorry to continually interrupt, Mr. Mayor, but thank you for letting me ask this other question. And it may be addressed more to Mr. Culberson, and not to certainly distract or get away from the certification process. The board has to focus on the four findings of fact, as the board knows. My question, though, to Mr. Culberson is this particular, is this a requirement under our zoning ordinance, or is this a voluntary voluntary procedure by the applicant?
No, Mr. Gamble, this is not lease certification or green requirements are not currently in the town rules or zoning ordinance. This is something that you have to do above and beyond our regulations.
And again, thank you. I say that to the board too. That really is a reminder that the board has to focus on the four findings of fact.
Would the applicants like to offer up any additional testimony for the commissioners? And does the commissioners have any additional comments or questions for the applicant? Commissioner Harrington.
I guess mine's really for Mr. Gamble. My understanding of the question of LEED certification was the neighbor adjoining properties LEED certification, this would impair it.
I understand.
So the fact that they are pursuing it is not necessarily relevant, other than my assumption, and I guess it'd be an assumption we'd all make, that if they are LEED certified, it should not adversely affect the property. Is that a fair assumption?
It is a fair one. I think you're on two accounts. One is that, and the property affect harmony question.
Okay.
Is what you're going for. Because I think you're on the record.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Disability.
so we could use that as a condition as well?
Well, if the applicant would agree to that condition, yes.
Any other comments or questions from the board? Okay. Any other testimony?
I'd like to say, at the last meeting, there was a question about overnight tractor trailer parking. We're not going to advertise for it, as I had mentioned before. If a trucker comes in at 2 in the morning, has a delivery at Niagara or Carolina Brewery, I would assume they'll sit there. We're not not gonna be the intent. The intent is to fuel up, grab something to eat and be on your way.
But you have no shower facilities or other items that would encourage you
No, I
to
would
stay?
encourage those people to stay, no, not at all.
Commissioner Houston.
Just one more question, like back at the diesel pumps, different area, if they would pump there tonight, would it be more landscaping back there for blockage, anything, you know, where people riding by, or people at the system, where you could see trucks parked in that area?
You can look at the bottom left of the site plan, you'll see to the left of the truck islands. That's the corner where they would park, where we would expect the trucks to park.
What's that?
Yeah, there's trees, there are trees there, and they are in the back of the lot.
Thank you.
Additional comments, questions from the board? Mr. Disarray.
By your drawing, we see the canopy over the truck refueling area. Are there gonna be other exterior lighting posts back toward that? A lot of times, people have the lighting post in the flower bed or right up beside it, which lights up the whole back.
Or will be lighted up.
Okay, because that would be a deterrent.
Yeah, we're not gonna keep it dark, it'll be lighted.
Any other questions for the applicant, commissioners? Any other testimony that you have to give this time?
All set, thank you.
Okay. And at this time, I will go ahead and continue the public hearing. If there's anyone from the public who wishes to speak to this matter, to step forward to the podium. Yes, sir. If you could please state your name and address.
Jim Leonard, 110 Walmsley Place, Mooresville.
Mr. Leonard, if you could place your left hand on the Bible and raise your right hand. Do you swear that the evidence you shall give to the board in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thanks, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, and members of the board, and good citizens of our community. I'm here to speak about the petroleum installation, in particular for Thunder Road Market LLC. I am president and owner of J.R. Leonard Construction Company based in Troutman, North Carolina, and I will be in charge, my firm will be in charge of installing the petroleum installation systems for Thunder Road Market. These installations will consist of the underground tanks, the double wall underground piping, and all the ancillary equipment that will be connected to these tanks for both the gasoline and diesel fuel. I just wanted everybody to know, the board and the good citizens that and the surrounding businesses in the park, that Thunder Road's installation will be done in accordance with the most current federal and state EPA regulations, the National Fire Protection Association, and the Petroleum Equipment Institute.
I'm sorry, would you repeat your name again?
My name is Jim Leonard.
Thank you, Mr.
Questions for Mr. Leonard? Mr. Disarray?
Mr. Leonard, how long have you been in this business installing?
About 30 years.
Installing petroleum
Yes, sir.
tanks?
Yeah, we also built convenience stores as well, and fast food, and car washes, things of that such.
And that's the one South Carolina, Virginia.
North Carolina.
Do you have your own crews, or are you going to be contracting out?
We would subcontract that.
Some comments, questions, Mr. Leonard? Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else from the public who wishes to speak to this matter? If you come forward. Yes, sir. And I have, excuse me, sir. Okay.
I'm glad.
If you go ahead and state your name again for the record, I know you're already currently sworn in.
Yes, my name is Rick Lynn.
Thank you, Mr. Leonard.